What's going on, guys? With ASHP Midyear right around the corner, today I figured I would talk about strategies to PPS. And exciting video today because we actually have a couple of guests that you're probably familiar with who will talk about their tips and advice on how they approach PPS. And specifically, we're going to talk about what to do pre-PPS, during PPS, and post-PPS.
So PPS is this kind of beast for a lot of people, certainly for people who are interested in PGY2s, certainly people who are interested in jobs into their final full careers outside of residency. And so I have a couple ideas in terms of how I approach PPS and what I did, and hopefully that will help you in some ways. Certainly before PPS, in a phase I would call pre-PPS, definitely do a lot of preparation. In general, the more you know the program, the better. And what that really means is find out what their clinical models might be, find out what service lines they have, find out what they've published. Because the goal is to really, when you go into PPS, ask specific questions. PPS isn't a time for you to say, hey, tell me about your program. It's more about you figuring out if it's a right fit for you very quickly. Because no one wants to go down an interview process and then ultimately figure out it won't work out. So do your homework before you go to PPS. Find out all the programs, which booth they're located in, who's going to be there, and potentially what positions are open, if any. And I'll get to that if any part at the end.
So pre-PPS, simply put, you got to do your homework. And what I mean is not coming with that answer of information that you saw on the website, that you know how many beds of hospitals they have and how many patients they see in their census. No, I'm talking about the information that is hard to find out. You come in there and you're asking them real questions that's going to concern you, not questions that's going to sound good. You want to come there prepared. Number two, you want to look fresh. I'm talking about clean. They're looking at you like, oh man, they're serious. Because honestly, the people who get remembered are the people who look really good and look really bad. So you want to make sure you have your business cards together, your CVs together, looking nice. I'm not talking about CV paper. I'm talking about just looking nice. And don't waste your money on all the CV paper. And you want to make sure that, again, that you're just professionally well put together, because it's going to look like a total package. And you want to make sure that you're presenting yourself in the best fashion.
What are you going to do pre-PPS? So the best thing, and I think the most important thing, is to make sure that you plan ahead. You want to make sure you're not at mid-year just for PPS. You're also going to be going to different meetings, different posters, different displays, different presentations. So make sure that you're using your time really efficiently. Make sure that you balance and try to keep your interviews close together, so you're not using a lot of your time for travel, but then also make sure that you give yourself enough time in between each interview, just in case something goes long or in case you have any trouble finding a certain booth, because it is a really large open area, and it can be a little bit hard to try to find the specific locations. You always want to make sure you're coming a little bit ahead of time so that you're not late or exactly on time for your interviews. Another important thing when you're doing your pre-PPS strategies and your prep work is to make sure that you are expanding your horizons. Try not to just find maybe a clinical opportunities. Look at different institutional opportunities within research or within academic areas, because you may end up finding a really nice fit, a really interesting opportunity to find something and explore in an area you may not have expected that you would have had possible.
So I'll quickly share some of my perspectives on this. Most of the other guests did a pretty fantastic job of sharing their perspectives. So I'll keep mine very short. A couple of things that stood out for me pre-PPS is basically, preparation, of course. With any interview, it's important to just study the programs. You can treat it like any other interview in general. Look at their rotation structure, look at the staffing structure, where their previous residents have been, just anything about the program, study up on the preceptors, a variety of things like that. More importantly, I think for me, when it came to PPS, was logistical planning. PPS is a very condensed time, and time is very short. So for me personally, I found it very difficult to schedule interviews. I think I had around 11 condensed around a 4-hour block of time, and that was just impossible in certain circumstances. So what I did pre-planning was coordinating with those programs to see if you can schedule interviews outside of PPS. So you might meet, at the hotel, in the lobby, and just coffee shops, things like that. And I found that to be very beneficial.
During PPS, your interview, ask those specific questions that you researched. For example, how much time does your clinical staff get to do research, for example, if you know that you're going into a research hospital. Otherwise, you may ask more specific questions about day-to-days based on what you've learned about the organization. I think you come off a lot better when you're able to ask those specific questions that really key in on kind of key features or advantages of that organization or that position. The other thing they kind of know is that the interviewing process is for them to interview you as well. And so certainly have your 5-minute intro to yourself. Hey, my name is Dennis Lim. Hey, I did my PGY2 here. These are my strengths. This is what I've accomplished in my residency here. Keep it short, keep it succinct, and keep it as a way to introduce yourself and highlight all the great things that you've done during your residency, what you've done during your PGY1, or perhaps what you've done during your pharmacy school years. The other thing to know is that the PPS is not just for you to specifically interview the program that you're looking for. PPS is actually in many ways a networking event. So all those potential employers that are out there, some booths are more busy than others. I see booths, I did at least, that are not as busy as opportunities to find out more about the program. And those people, because they're sitting there for hours on end, would be very happy and willing to tell you about them. And so use that as a networking advantage. December is a weird time for a lot of organizations. They know they might get positions, they might not be approved yet through their budget. And so through that networking, you might be able to find additional opportunities that are not posted at PPS, not posted online in any job forum. So that's an opportunity for you to kind of ask about potential openings in the future and who your contacts might be.
Now you come there for your PPS interview. This is the perfect opportunity to save money. And let me tell you, because you probably remember when you were PGY1 or maybe just going around and you had to fly to different places just to interview. Well, guess what? Everyone is right in one spot. So this is your opportunity to weed out programs. Say, you know what? This is not for me. This is not the best fit for me. So I'm going to go ahead and save that plane trip. Or, you know what? I love this place. I would love to go for an on-site interview. So just a great opportunity. Your CV has to be on point. Honestly, just got to be on point. No grammatical errors. Just because they're going to be looking at it. They're going to be reading while they're looking at you. Like, oh, you look interesting. Yeah. They're going to ask you questions. So make sure that you're engaged. And not only are you in that process of being interviewed, but you're also interviewing them, because you're at the point now you're looking for a job. It's not just about a 1-year or 2-year commitment. It could be the rest of your life potentially. So you want to make sure that you go about it the right way. Now, you might find yourself in a situation where you have an interview and you see some desks open. I say jump on it. Not only could that be a great opportunity, you find that there's actually an opportunity in the future, but it's great practice. You can be able to wrap it up with some people, be able to network, and they can talk to you about some opportunities that you may or may not know about. And who knows, you might actually find yourself interested in going to that place. So what maybe turned out into practice might actually turn into a future career, future life goal.
During PPS, don't blow your interview. Make sure you've prepped, you have your questions, you know your answers to all of your basic questions, you know the general facts about the institution that you're interviewing at. And then also try not to be too stiff. Let your passion show. Make sure that your enthusiasm for whatever area you're interviewing for, that you actually show that. One of the most important things, and the things I always looked at when I was looking at candidates, is are they really excited about what they do? When they tell me about their experience in their interviews or their different work that they've done outside of pharmacy, can I see them as a human being and not just as a piece of CV paper?
Now for during PPS, what's really nice here is just general prep, just preparing beforehand will transition nicely here. So just any typical interview prep is good. I think what's most important during PPS interviews is just the mindset. Think about it as in you are interviewing that program. You're, as much as they are evaluating you, you're also evaluating them. So what can they bring to the table for your experience? So I think having that mindset is a huge perspective shift, and it will give you more confidence when you are interviewing.
And finally, after PPS, make sure that during the PPS you have gotten as many contacts as you can. Make sure you got the business cards, and at the end, write down those kind of key facts about your conversation about the organization that perhaps you have encountered during that interaction. Because what that allows you is to write very specific thank you emails or thank you cards, which are better in my opinion, to those people, and let them remember you in a positive light. And so that's really the most important part. In PPS, those people see so many individuals. The likelihood of them remembering you is very low unless you are A, really bad, or B, exceptionally good. If you fall somewhere in between, how they'll remember you is the interaction that you bring up again in your email or in those thank you cards. So that's kind of how I approach PPS. There's a lot of opportunity all in that one space, and just make sure you take advantage of it, because it's not just the interview that you're going to, it's kind of everything else that encompasses PPS.
Now, what are you doing with PPS is when it's over? Like, what's the deal? Obviously, you want to make sure that you send your thank you cards, emails, whatever the case that you might feel that you need to do. But don't forget that there's always a reception going on at midyear. And make sure you show up there, you socialize, you shake hands, and you basically show your character and your personality, because, again, there's so many really good, qualified, intelligent pharmacists, but people really want to be around those people that they can be able to really socialize away from the world of pharmacy. So just show them that, and I'm sure you'll be successful.
Post PPS, obviously make sure that you send your thank you cards. Handwritten versus email. There's pros and cons to both. Email, you can obviously do it really quickly. You can get them done, and then you can get that response. So you know that you're on time and that you're punctual with things like that. But also make sure that you find other opportunities to outreach with that program. Follow up after you've already sent your thank you with questions that you probably have come up with you didn't think about bringing up during your interview. Make sure to try to keep that dialogue. PPS is a great opportunity as a starting point to have those conversations, but you want to make sure that you continue it on. You don't want it to be the start and the end of that conversation that you're having with that institution, with those program directors or directors of pharmacy.
Nice. And then lastly, for post PPS, just your typical things here. Thank you notes. It's always nice to say thank you to those who interviewed you and took their time to chat with you. The other thing that I think is really nice is following up a few weeks after midyear, specifically with email communication. Two things here, especially if it's for a job, it's nice to kind of keep the programs on track. Sometimes they may forget, and it shows that you're persistent and you want to pursue that program further, and that you still have that interest going. I think the second thing that's really nice with email is also that it allows for a bi-directional communication. So thank you notes, kind of get lost in the mail. They're definitely not going to write you back a handwritten letter. So email communication opens up where you can quickly follow up with programs as well. So that kind of wraps up the video. I hope you all enjoyed the different perspectives from all of the guests we have, and wish you the best of luck in PPS. Until next time. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in and watching the video. If you like the content, definitely hit the ImproRx button over to your left to subscribe, and definitely check out more videos over here to your right. Now, as always, if you have questions, comments, and even better, suggestions for future videos, definitely let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, until next time guys.